Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, Pro Football Talk on NBCSN every weekday at 5:30 Eastern. And Mike joins us now. Mike, explain the violations by the Browns and Falcons. Start with the Browns first of why you're not allowed to text from the front office down to the sidelines.
Well, the idea is you want to wall off the coaching staff. You want everybody to be on an even playing field from the standpoint of the information that's available to the coaching staff. You can have people texting in ideas, watching the game at home. Maybe they hear something on the broadcast from a production meeting that suggests something the other team's going to do, or maybe they see something sponsored. You've got to draw the line somewhere. So the NFL has drawn the line at the coaching staff. Coaching staff has to study the game with the information available to both teams live and in real time, and they're not allowed to get any help from anyone. It was actually Falcons coach Jim Mora 9 years ago who got fined $25,000 for making a phone call from the sidelines trying to figure out how the outcome of a game was going to affect his team's playoff chances. So this rule's been around for a while. You're not allowed to have any outside help. And even though in this case it probably caused more harm than good to be getting distracted by the general manager on the sidelines during games, there's still that bright line that teams aren't supposed to cross.
Okay, but you suspend the GM for 4 games. Why not suspend him for the draft if you really want to punish him?
Well, yeah, suspending the GM for the first 4 weeks of the regular season is just a half step above suspending him for the month of June. There's really nothing for the GM to do, and anything that he can be doing or would be doing in the office in the month of September, he'll do it at home. Watching college football games, getting his reports ready for the draft, watching pro games, looking for guys who may become free agents, guys who could be cut, guys the Browns may be interested in. And then he brings all that with him when he comes back to the office after the suspension ends. If you really want to suspend a GM for a month, this is the month to suspend him for.
The Falcons piping in noise. How long had it been going on?
It was happening in 2013, and it continued in 2014 until they were caught. And apparently there's an audit that the NFL does, and there's a way to find out through whatever means the NFL has available that this audio file of extra noise was being played. And I think this one's a much bigger deal, because if you're talking about using artificial means to disrupt the ability of the opposing offense to communicate, that creates a real advantage for the home team. Not that it helped the Falcons the last 2 years, but that creates a real advantage for anyone who uses it.
Okay, but if I have the guy on the organ, or we're chanting defense, and I'm still manufacturing crowd noise, right?
Well, as long as the noise itself is natural, you're allowed to instigate it. You're allowed to whip the crowd up into a frenzy.
But I can have music in there.
Yeah, but there's a point where the music has to cut off. You can't have the music blaring as they're at the line of scrimmage trying to call the play. So if you're enhancing the sound at that moment on 3rd and 10, and they have to use a silent snap count, and the offensive lineman, and Ross Tucker pointed this out last night on NBCSN, the offensive lineman has a split-second advantage because he knows when the snap's coming. If the offensive lineman's got to look at the ball just like the defensive lineman does, that's neutralized, that's gone, and it makes it harder to get your play executed the way you want. So that moment before the play, that 5-10 seconds, if you can't hear, the offense has a real problem.
Any update on the Patriots?
No, not yet. And, a lot of people looked at what happened yesterday and said, hey, if the Patriots get nailed here, maybe the league will go easy on them, because the perception is the league went easy on the Browns and Falcons. But I think one of the reasons the Browns and Falcons got off a little easy, they admitted it. They didn't force the NFL to go out and pay Ted Wells to come in and investigate. They acknowledged it. They accepted responsibility. So if Ted Wells finds the Patriots deliberately tampered with the footballs and the Patriots have denied it all along, I think that results in a stiffer punishment for the Patriots than if they would have just admitted it from the start.
Well, like when a jury is out, for a long period of time, you have attorneys always wondering what that means. The fact that Ted Wells has spent this much time and, Super Bowl's been over for a long time. What's that mean?
Well, I think the biggest delay, Dan, comes from whatever experiments that they were doing to duplicate the atmospheric conditions and understand what the Patriots did. Remember, Bill Belichick had that press conference, and he talked about how they prepare the footballs, and it somehow makes the air pressure go up.
Yep.
You got to figure out exactly how they prepared the footballs and then duplicate that to understand how this all works. And I think that's part of the delay. And the other thing, too, Ted Wells is a busy lawyer, and busy lawyers can't just drop everything and focus on one matter. They've got other trials, depositions, court hearings. You balance it in with everything else you do. You don't want to hire a lawyer who has nothing else to do, because that's not a very good lawyer.
The Jets situation is going to be interesting. I don't know how the NFL does not come down hard on Woody Johnson with tampering with Revis.
Textbook violation of the tampering rules. I mean, the example given in the tampering policy is basically word for word what Woody Johnson said. You can't say, I want this guy to be on our team, especially when he's under contract and his contract is due to expire in a matter of months. Now, the Jets tried to turn the tables last week because Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, told reporters at the league meetings, well, we wanted to keep him. We wanted him to be part of the team.
That's silly.
Yeah, it's and you know what? There needs to be an adult in the Jets organization or an adult in the league office who says to whoever's bright idea this was, you can't do this.
And you make the Jets pay the legal fees for something stupid like that.
Yeah, I think that the right response for the league office should be, this is a joke. And what the league office should have said to the Jets when they tried to file it is, guys, come on. This just makes a mockery of the process. You know that what you did was very different than what Robert Kraft did. And ultimately what happens is you're never going to have anybody say anything about any player who ever played for a team if he plays for another team. Now you're not going to get any explanation about why the Lions didn't keep Ndamukong Suh or any other trade was made if you can't breathe a word about a player who is now on another team. I mean, there's some practicality that needs to be taken into account here, and maybe that's the Jets' point. Maybe they look at it and say, no harm, no foul. We were going to sign this guy anyway. But it's goofy to try to turn it around on the Patriots.
If the draft were today, the first 3 picks would be?
Well, I think the first 2 picks are going to be the quarterbacks, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Because where do you find a franchise quarterback? You find him in the draft. Unless you get lucky and Peyton Manning recovers quickly from neck surgery or Drew Brees' shoulder isn't as bad as everybody thought it was, you're not going to find a franchise quarterback. So I think it's Winston and Mariota, and then it's going to be a pass rusher or Leonard Williams. I mean, Dante Fowler Jr., Vic Beasley, Leonard Williams, and maybe the Jaguars decide at number 3 they go for Kevin White or Amari Cooper to try to pump up their offense.
What about Gregory testing positive at the Combine? Is that a big deal?
Well, if I was a team interested in Gregory, I would want to know how often he smokes. And, I mean, I don't know if he's going to tell me the truth, but at least I want to ask these questions. How often do you smoke? Did you know you were going to be tested? Did your agent tell you you were going to be tested? Did anybody tell you you got 30 days to get this out of your system? I mean, because plenty of guys smoke marijuana, and teams don't care. Teams only care if a guy is faced with the choice between football and marijuana, and he chooses marijuana to the point where he can no longer play football. And not many guys have ultimately chosen marijuana over football, but we've seen it with Ricky Williams, Ontario Smith, who will forever be remembered as giving us the Whizzinator. Justin Blackmon's had issues, Josh Gordon's had issues, but for the most part, when a guy's got to choose between football and marijuana, he chooses football.
Yeah, I said this when it happened, that the NFL doesn't care about pot. The NFL cares about stupidity. And Gregory's guilty of stupidity. If you don't know you're going to get tested and you go there and you get popped for it, to me, that's it's a red flag. It'd be a really big...
I definitely would want to investigate it. But I still don't know why the NFL cares about guys smoking marijuana in the privacy of their own homes. As long as they're not getting behind the wheel of a car or doing anything stupid out in public, I don't know why any employer should care about what someone does in the privacy of their own homes, especially for a substance that's now legal in 2 of the 22 states where the NFL does business.
Thank you, Mike.
See you, bud.
Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk. You can watch him every night, every weekday night at 5:30 Eastern on NBCSN.